I'm walking away from this $560,000 house with nothing. In just a few minutes, as soon as this video's over, I'm walking out the door behind the camera for the last time and moving on with my life. 2 years ago, I had $30,000 in sweat equity that me and my fiance put towards this house and 40 grand in my savings. That's all gone. I was convinced that this real estate hustle was the fast track to retirement. Maybe you've heard something similar, that investing in a home is going to create stability and wealth in your life. For me, it did the opposite.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Robert here. Today I wanted to review this creator and his video as far as the situation and scenario that he's coming out of at the time of this video. And per the title, I think he's given bad advice for those of you that aspire to be future homeowners. And I'll explain really in this first segment before we move forward, because as you go on, or as we go on in the video and listen to what he's saying, it'll start making more sense. And then he really starts dropping some jewels, in my opinion, for current homeowners, people that are looking to be home buyers, or current folks are in the pursuit to become a homeowner or home buyers, anywhere on the spectrum that you fall. That is the scope of today's video. Before I do that, I want to let you know that I am a lender. And if you are in need of help as far as residential real estate is concerned, contact information is in the description below. The first thing I want to address, he said that he and his fiance put $30,000 worth of sweat equity in. And so for those of you that don't know, sweat equity is when you go into a property and you do the work yourself in lieu of a contractor or something of that nature. So why that's important is because this was an investment property. That's a very important distinction, because too many times people mix investment properties and primary residences together. And when the investment doesn't work, they roll that into home ownership. And that's problematic, because if you're not looking to establish roots, meaning at minimum, you're going to be in a place 5 years, if not longer, then you really have to understand your why and if it makes sense for you to purchase residential real estate that you're going to live in as your primary residence. If you're going to be an investor, then you also have to understand that investors have exposure to a loss as well as a profit. You take a risk. There's a very important distinction, because if you're on the sideline now looking to buy a home, all you hear is the negative if you're that type of person. And you can be misled and miss an opportunity for you to buy, especially if your runway is 5 years or more. Hopefully that made sense. Second thing that he mentioned, it's a buzz term: hustle, gig, hustle, play. It's not a hustle. It's not a gig. It's not a play. Anytime you invest, you have to have either a great team. In my opinion, you have to have some type of knowledge, some type of acumen, expertise, or something into what you're investing into, so that you can minimize as much as possible, mitigate your losses, either by diversification, knowledge, speed, some type of advantage that you have. If you don't have those things, you don't need to invest, because you'll end up, as they say, losing your socks. He said something to the nature that you may have thought that investing in a home would create stability and wealth overall. And in most cases, it does, because your runway is long enough to deal with any potential ups and downs in the market and over a period of time. Because real estate is tied to inflation, you tend to win. So this is why I stated that this is bad advice. Now that we've laid that foundation, we can start to learn from his experience, because it's a very valuable experience. If you're a potential home buyer, if you're a homeowner, a lot of jewels that we can extract from it.
When I was living in Michigan, things were stable. The house was extremely affordable. I was able to save a lot of money. Nothing was glamorous. We had to fix it up quite a bit, but things were peaceful, simple, and cheap. And then one day I was on the phone with a friend I'd known for quite some time, and he was talking to me about the real estate hustle out here in Denver. Joe, your money out here in a $500,000 home is going to over 30 years appreciate for way more than $180,000 in Michigan. I was skeptical, as I always am, but I'd been listening to things like Bigger Pockets podcast and catching wind of this whole real estate investment thing as a way to house hack your way into an early retirement. So I got bought into it pretty quick. The truth is, I didn't have a plan for retirement. That's one of the first things he asked me in the conversation was, what's your plan? Do you even have one right now? And the truth was, no, I was just banking money. I didn't have even $1,000 in a 401k or anything like that. I was just rolling with things, working the cushy job, and because of that, I was vulnerable to someone else's plan influencing me. And there were early signs that there was a misalignment coming. I just rejected them. When we were first debating coming out here, I was on the phone with my friend arguing that, well, Denver doesn't have as good of growing conditions for having a garden or anything like that. And he said, Joe, are you really going to make, this foolish financial choice because you can't have a garden out in Denver? And that sounds kind of silly, but the truth is that was a hint at what my values were and where I wanted to be in life, and me not holding my ground to build the type of future that I truly wanted. One of the bigger signs was my friend's brother bought a house a few years before us, and his house actually went down in value. And also when we came to move in here, we found out a lot of things were left unfinished. There were little corners cut. Like, for instance, this used to have a bunch of soot all over it that the contractor was supposed to clean up, and he never did. We had to do it ourselves. But, we dove in. We, with a lot of hesitation, bought this really expensive house, and things started to look sketchy pretty quickly.
Before I go any further, I want to thank the gentleman for being transparent and putting his information about this situation in his life out in the public forum for us to learn from. Never attack against the creator. This is a case study, okay? So for those of you that are about to get emotionally triggered, relax. Listen to what the old man is saying. I don't know this guy, but I appreciate him because, again, he's dropping a lot of jewels. Here's the deal. You have to know your piece. Not your piece. Where your peace lies. In this age of social media and all this information, there's a lot of fugazis out here, and they're able to survive. The parasites are able to live because we don't know who we are. I won't point at you. It's all of us. So the first thing is to know thyself. And if you listen to him, he was living his best life in Michigan. It was boring, but it was peaceful. And so you have to ask yourself, wherever you are in this life at this time, is it peaceful? Because whenever you turn on the lights, whatever social media platform, even this one, the game is to be sold, not told. You're being sold to. And the freer the information is, the more of a slave you become. Convenience really kills. I digress. He was good in Michigan. But if you heard him, for those of you that want to be potential homeowners, there's always some type of maintenance or investment that you put into a home, regardless of if it's brand new or if it's pre-existing. The question that you have to answer is, can you afford it? And when you do those things, is it causing your peace to leave? Number two, he mentioned, as he went further there, he sounds like a garden guy. But his friend told him, hey, are you really going to let a garden stop you from making all of this money? Again, social media. You got to watch it. There's a lot of folks, number one, making false claims. I'll say it that way. Secondly, he said his friend was able to show receipts. But guess what? That's his friend. That ain't you. Know thyself. See, he's a boring guy. He said it when he was going through. Again, no shade, because we've all done it. The question is, are you brave enough to put your mistakes out so we all can learn from them? So again, shout out to him. I have his contact information below so you can watch his story, because he's getting it. He's got it. And I'll drop that jewel when we get to it. But back to this. How do we get out of our peace when we don't have a plan? He said it a couple of times. And so the dangled carrot is this: retirement or retiring early. and your future self. And you don't have a plan. And so we have to accelerate or get into this vehicle because that's going to get you to your destination faster. How do you know that? Well, if you don't have a plan, you don't know it. So the first place that you start with always is with your plan. And does the plan you have laid out, is it good enough for you? Does it give you peace? Because owning a home may not be for you. You may have to get to a different vehicle to reach a place for your future self that you can hold your role, if you will, and work your plan. And be happy for other people that are on a different path if it works for them. So you got to know thyself. You got to have a plan. Okay. And two more things about this segment is this. It's boring. A lot of you guys, especially in a certain age range, you've been programmed for excitement. You could tell it in the editing and things of that nature. Okay. And you got to be around a lot of people and something's always got to be popping. Right? You got to be in the mix. You got to be at all the parties, not understanding that you've been programmed that way. So humble yourself, understand who you are, create your role, your path that gives you peace. And then from there, now I can start looking at the tools, house, equities, or the stock market, cryptocurrency, whatever the tool is, it has to align with who I am. Because whenever you say a garden guy, think about it. You don't plant a seed and it grows a tree in a day. That takes time. It's a boring guy. I'm a boring guy. It's nothing wrong with being boring. Know thyself. Because see, you could get over here in the fast lane and you don't have no peace, right? And then the last thing is this before we move forward. Fear of missing out, FOMO. It's everywhere. Where do I start? Know thyself. Somebody like me that subscribes to a higher power, I go to the scriptures and that gives me peace, right? And when I follow those rules and those instructions, that gives me guidance. Okay. That's me. You got to do what you got to do. All right. But I can't run your race. Okay. And I need to be comfortable enough in my skin to be able to be happy for you with whatever it is that you're doing. Birds of a feather flock together. Find your tribe. All of those sayings. Okay, it boils down to that. So don't have FOMO. Don't have the fear of missing out. And you're 1,000 miles down the road because you're not going to be tossed and turned by every bright light. Oh, this, that. Oh, You're going to run your race. And however the race ends, you just want to get to the finish line. You feel me? If you feel what I'm saying, no, I'm just playing with your eyes. Let's move forward.
Our renters, we did not get along with them very well. And turns out being a landlord just wasn't for us. It was very annoying for me. And I think maybe it would be different if I was a landlord for people living not in my building with me. But in this case, I didn't really have a choice because the mortgage here was so expensive. We had to offset the cost somehow. And that was the only way. We had to put up with people in our basement that we didn't get along with for an entire year. And then some bigger things started to happen. The light right behind the camera here just started leaking water one day during a blizzard because the contractor cut another corner. He was supposed to redo the roof during the remodel of the home and didn't do it. So we had to twist his arm to pay for half of the job he was supposed to do to begin with. There were all these little signs hinting that this was not the best choice for us. It was an expensive house. It had problems. All houses do. But on top of it being a lot of money to sustain, it was costing more and more because of all these smaller problems. And then the real collapse happened when I got laid off in April 2024. Suddenly, this plan for my retirement, this house, was my biggest problem. The renters didn't work out, so we went with Airbnb instead when their lease ended. And between that being less reliable for income and me not having one, this house just started hemorrhaging my money away. And that collapse cost me dearly. That 40 grand I had when I first moved here, that's gone. The equity that we used to buy this house, that's gone too. If you watched my other video, you know that we dropped our price to below what we bought it. We're probably barely breaking even here.
The plot is thickening, right? Renters, Airbnb, these are all things that have to happen in his scenario because really bought too much home and the home is too expensive on top of you're renovating the home. Back to knowing yourself. If you grew up in a household where, you had your own room and if you're someone that can deal with other people. I think about my son all the time. He always want to be where a lot of folks were. And if he could sleep on the corner on the floor somewhere at his friend's house and it was 1,000 people, it didn't bother him. Me, on the other hand, I like my own space. So living with someone, you have to know yourself. And when we put ourselves in situations, then we're forced to succumb to the circumstances to make things happen. Number two, when the renters didn't work out, now I'm gonna deal with Airbnb. Whole nother game. That's a whole nother business. A lot of these cities are cracking down on Airbnb. Again, it always sounds good online when I get on here and say house hack. I did a video a couple of weeks back where I was saying folks are going to having to start coming together as family. You ought to see some of those comments. Man, you better leave family alone. And this is why I don't mess with family. So it sounds good. Everything sounds good on paper. When we put ourselves in positions to where we have margin, we have room for error and life happening, that's always the best case, because bad stuff happens. And I'm the last one to sit here and tell you that I haven't been in situations during the right before the housing crash of 2006 to probably 2008 that lingered to 2013. I was a pharmaceutical rep making big money. Beringer Ingelheim. Do the knowledge. A lot of you pocket watchers, right? Go do what you do on the internet. Rob was getting to the money, and I had my brokerage. This is a jewel for some of you young entrepreneurs out there. If you have a W-2, you make that W-2 leave. The W-2 has to get to a point to where it's just too hard for me to manage because the business is just booming so big. I could have handled both of them, but I didn't want to be a W-2 employee. Now, what I didn't know was the housing crash was coming. Okay? And so I got a young family. We getting to the money. We balling, right? And guess what I'm doing? Because I'm a giver. What makes me feel good is when my people feel good. And that's a blessing and a curse sometimes. I've learned that over the years. That's a different video. Let me stay focused. And so had I known that 2006 to 2008 was going to happen, I wouldn't have left that job. You see? And this is why my son, okay, when it's time, when he stepped out and started working, right? Didn't go to college, got a lot of hate from family members and stuff, giving you the side eye because that's what we're supposed to do, right? But I knew my son, and long and short, he got into the workforce. So he got his real estate license and stuff and didn't do anything with it for a minute. But 2019, 2020, 21, caking up. Guess what he was saying? Dad, I want to do this. Man, don't quit that job. Don't quit that job. Now, shout out to him. He listened to the old man. We didn't know over the last 3-4 years, real estate was going to dry up like it's dried up as far as the transactions are concerned, because real estate is necessary. So I come before you not talking out the side of my neck like a lot of these folks are talking out the side of their neck. And if you really listen, if you can judge a tree by the fruits that it bears, you feel me. I ain't talking about what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. Okay. And so to this day, he'll tell you it's a blessing that he kept that job and he still got his real estate license, because it takes 2, 3, 4 streams of income nowadays because costs are up. So I said all that to say this. It's not a shade to the young man because he made a move. It was a bad move. And again, we're learning from these things, if you're able to hear, to prevent you from going into them. That's the best way to learn, right? Vicariously. And so back to his situation and mine, you didn't see these things coming up. And that's the point I want to make. So don't put yourself in a position where everything got to go right, because nothing goes 100% of the plan. And there's something else in the future that's going to go wrong. But that shouldn't prevent you from moving forward, because there's certain things that you have to do. You can't get in the corner and just ball up, right? You got to occupy until he comes. Now, good thing is he had some savings, but that savings quickly goes away. What do they say? When it rains, it pours, right? So as we get ready to wrap up, let's see what he's done to pivot, because I never want to just leave you in the drama and the minutia. We got enough of that. He's not a victim. He's understood where he made a mistake, and now he's going to pivot and get out of that thing. And this is what the most valuable lesson is as we in this video. Check it out.
But what the real low point was the process of selling this house. The market in Denver is bad right now, and it is elsewhere too. And because I couldn't get a new job and I had to accept one out in Michigan, I had to move there as we were selling this home, which made it very logistically complex on top of me and my fiance being apart for 2 months. So that was just stressful. I mean, it piled on top of a lot of other things. And right now, to sit in this house as it's empty with just to drive to Michigan and moving into a storage unit ahead of us, it feels really good. This has been difficult. This has been the worst year of my life, but I'm really excited to move forward from this. I've learned a lot, and being back at zero is a blank slate. Could be worse, could be in debt. This happened because I didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted to do with my life, and because of that, I was open to someone else's really good idea working for me. Now I have a very clear vision of what I want. Not a perfect path forward. I'm still going to be figuring it out for the next months and years of my life, but I'll get there someday, and I'm excited for that. And money is money. I'll bounce back at some point, and I'm excited to make videos about how I do that. So if you're interested to see how I bounce back, feel free to subscribe.
Excellent. So to summarize his last statements, don't go down with the ship. Don't hold on too long. Here's the deal. Gotta live to fight another day. You're not your credit score, and you're not your home. These are tools. Although I understand the emotional attachment that we have to both of them. Okay. I could only imagine if I had to get out of my home abruptly. But I pray that I have the courage, like this young man has, the foresight, the ability to move. You gotta move. And then you can come back again. I didn't hear him say he wasn't going to buy another home. He didn't demonize it, because it's not the home ownership. It's the situation that he was in. And it sounds like he's learned from it. And then ultimately, here's the jewel. There's a lot of you guys out here that are in harm's way or have had life experiences that you want to hide from. If you have the courage, the work ethic, and can learn, you can take your story like he's about to do and potentially create an additional stream of income here on YouTube. So it's as simple as that, but it's not easy. It's that 4-letter word, W-O-R-K, work. It's work. You have to understand the game. So here's the invitation. If you watch this far, obviously home ownership or some part of it has resonated with you, and you're looking for somebody that you can know, like, and trust. So I'm here to apply for that position. And if you've watched me enough and you feel comfortable, the next actionable step is a conversation. The first 15 minutes is on me. It's free. Hit that consultation link in the description and let's talk to see if we're a fit, because we may not be, and that's fine too. If you're not ready, watch this video right here. And for the rest of you guys, my time is up, but I thank you for yours. As I always say, guys, let's be good to one another. Let us let grace abound. And until the next time, indeed, y'all stay blessed.